Over the course of 11 years, Hearthstone's progression system has transformed step by step. A concentration of seemingly minor changes has dramatically altered the game's economy. If you haven't played Hearthstone in a while, you'll likely be shocked by how much it has evolved. But what's even more important is that significant shifts are still happening. Today, me and the mathematicians guys will dive into the latest changes to the rewards system and share our findings. I promise, you'll be just as surprised by the results as I was.
Time to rock and roll!
Hello my friends. My name is Bot Mathematician and this is Sir.
Also, Chief Investigative Reporter Dora joined us this evening.
Gadgets and Gazette always gets the scoop.
Throughout the year, we've closely monitored the changes in the progression system. We're now ready to share the data and explain how these changes have actually impacted the cost of the game.
We've done a lot of work, so hit that like button to show your interest in the topic. While Hearthstone's core economy has stayed largely the same, the distribution of resources has changed significantly. The game's rewards system keeps evolving, and it seems like it's getting closer to being a fully free-to-play experience.
But let's take it step by step. Collecting cards remains the top priority for Hearthstone players. After all, this is a collectible card game. Without a broad card collection, it's much harder to be competitive on the ladder, explore a variety of strategies, or even just have fun. Cards are the core of the gameplay, and the state of the progression system directly determines how many cards players can collect, and how much money they'll need to spend to expand their gameplay options.
The recent period of turbulence following the rotation of the meta demanded that players have a broader card collection to adapt effectively.
A strong collection is the key tool for surviving any kind of meta shake-up. Even more than that, having access to useful cards turns any shifts into an opportunity. You can confidently experiment with new strategies without the fear of wasting your resources.
Let me briefly walk you through the key changes that have happened over the past year. It all started with rotation. Along with it, the Diamond Legendary card from the Legendary Collector Achievement Reward Pool was removed, making collecting more expensive for some players. Then, the Hearthstone team unexpectedly increased the rewards for weekly quests, but the difficulty and time required to complete them also rose dramatically. This shift felt totally disproportionate and illogical. The changes led to player frustration, which we dubbed the quest drama. The developers said they wanted to increase engagement and provide goals for more active players, but those explanations didn't sit well with the community. Eventually, the situation improved through a series of updates. After a while, the devs restored the quest system to its original state, while improving the usefulness of Tavern Brawl rewards and slightly increasing the number of valuable items on the rewards track. However, the team didn't abandon the idea of boosting engagement. Last year, the difficulty of completing event tasks increased significantly. To complete them, you had to spend a considerable amount of time in the game, or commit to a serious grind. Some tasks were overly specific and required certain cards to complete. That said, it's worth noting that the rewards for player effort were also increased.
So over the course of the year, numerous parts of the progression system have been affected.
Hearthstone has always had one core trait. The total value of free, easily obtainable rewards was proportionally tied to the cost of missing resources needed to complete a collection. This means that the progression system never allowed you to simply get all the cards from a new expansion over a 4-month period. Yes, theoretically, you could achieve that through Arena, but here we're only talking about the traditional progression system. Over time, competitive play has become more expensive, due to the increased number of major sets per year, the addition of new classes, and eventually mini-sets. But in parallel, the game has also become more generous, flexible, and player-friendly to offset those rising costs. A limited supply of resources creates room for monetization. Even though the game continues to introduce countless new types of cosmetics, the sale of gameplay resources remains the most important revenue stream in 2025. It's worth acknowledging, in the genre of collectible card games, there's no precedent for a game offering full access to all cards while also generating significant revenue purely from cosmetics. So if you want a high-quality card game as a live service with regular updates, some level of monetization through the sale of resources is unavoidable.
Still, when it comes to free-to-play games with a competitive component, it's absolutely essential that the game economy remains fair and friendly to all players, including those who never intend to spend money. Sure, you may not be able to collect all the new cards for free, but does that fact actually limit your chances of winning? The answer to this question determines whether the game is truly free to play, or in reality pay to win. And here, things get complicated. Although most players receive similar rewards, each player's in-game experience can differ significantly. For new players, the game is substantially more expensive, at least for a while, compared to longtime players.
But things aren't so straightforward when it comes to in-game resources either. While many resources may appear similar, in practice their usefulness can vary greatly.
For example, 100 gold is equivalent to 1 card pack, which on average contains about 100 dust, enough to craft a specific rare card. On the surface, that all sounds reasonable. But the real value of each resource type differs significantly. Let's be honest, you wouldn't want to receive rare cards or 100 dust as a primary reward. Gold is the most valuable resource because it allows you to choose which packs to buy, and even enables certain abuses if you want to save it up. Second in usefulness are packs, but not just any packs. The most valuable are those containing cards you're still missing, or ones that give you dust for crafting. Dust itself has significantly less practical value than gold.
If we look at the game's economy in a vacuum, you'd need to open around 312 packs to collect a full set from one expansion. Add another 20 packs worth to cover the cost of a mini set, and you're looking at a total of 332 packs. That amount won't give you every single card, but you'll earn enough dust from disenchanting extra and golden low rarity cards to craft what's missing. If you decided to craft the entire set using only dust, it would cost you around 77,000 dust. Considering that one pack gives you about 100 dust on average, the value of dust is at least 2 times lower than that of gold, and in practice, gold's utility in building a broad collection is even more significant.
Taking the real usefulness of resources into account, we can now look at the current state of rewards. The Great Dark Beyond expansion phase turned out to be the most generous in the game's 11-year history, not just because it lasted slightly longer than usual, but because the total rewards exceeded the traditional ratio between free resources and the cost of completing a collection.
The total amount of easily obtainable resources during the 140-day period was equivalent to 243 new packs. That's 72% of what's needed to complete the entire set, including the mini set at its increased cost, and excluding the reduced value of older expansion packs in the calculation. If regular players were to purchase an equivalent number of packs with real money, it would cost them around $280.
Let's take a closer look at the sources of those resources. We've mapped out the entire progression system in one image. To complete the full collection, including the mini set, a player needed resources equivalent to 337 packs. Free promotional legendary cards reduced the total cost by about 6%, which equals nearly 20 packs. Special rewards track bonuses are an extremely valuable resource source, accounting for 11% of a full collection. Quests are the most important source of gold, providing players with 26% of what's needed for a complete set. Your playtime and achievements contribute only a tiny portion of resources, even assuming players complete about 30% of achievements and play an average of 20 minutes per day. Tavern Brawl rewards are still a single pack, but now from the latest expansion, making them significantly more useful. The same goes for events. They're more time-consuming but generally very generous. The most difficult task by far is reaching Diamond 5 in ranked play each month. But if we're talking about building the widest possible card collection, this shouldn't be a major challenge for the average player.
Every reward source matters, but there are some less obvious factors. For instance, acquiring signature and golden legendary cards from packs is not guaranteed, simply due to their low drop rates, especially for free-to-play players, who naturally open fewer packs than paying players.
Under the right circumstances, premium cards can significantly reduce the overall cost of collecting, contributing roughly 6% of the total value needed to complete a full set. Unfortunately, the removal of the legendary card reward for the legendary collector achievement at the beginning of last year made collecting more expensive. However, the overall increase in rewards more than made up for this loss. Over the past year, the game has become noticeably more generous and welcoming. So, based on the available rewards, the maximum number of packs you would have needed to purchase in order to complete the collection was about 50. In addition, you would need to spend 2,500 gold to buy the mini set. The remaining resources you'd have to cover are equivalent to either a standard $50 pre-order bundle or playing an extra 4 hours per day in constructed modes.
Admittedly, $50 for a full collection. even if you're logging in every 3 days and completing most quests. Might not seem like the most generous deal compared to other competitive games. But keep in mind, we're talking about a very specific genre, collectible card games, which are traditionally extremely expensive. Personally, I can't think of any still active CCG where the cost of collecting all new cards, after factoring in easily obtainable rewards, is this low for longtime players. Yes, these rewards are distributed gradually over the 4-month expansion phase, but because of the incredible flexibility of Hearthstone's economy, free-to-play players can get all the essential cards right at launch, then gradually fill in the less impactful ones. The flexibility of in-game resources and the ability to game the system is a hugely important factor that we've left out of the calculations. By following certain strategies, you can dramatically increase the value of your free resources, making full collection potentially completely free. This level of economic flexibility is virtually unprecedented in the CCG genre.
Personally, I clearly felt how much more generous the Great Dark Beyond phase was. I opened significantly fewer packs than usual, yet still managed to pull all epic cards, and even ended up with a few duplicates.
In fact, I ended up opening more packs than I really needed, because I hadn't expected the rewards to be this generous. Dear viewers, what about you? Did you also feel a noticeable increase in the value of your rewards this time around? Please share your experience in the comments.
Alright, it's clear how things worked in the Great Dark Beyond, but what about into the Emerald Dream? Can players expect the same level of generosity?
Great question, Dora. We currently have no reason to believe that rewards for any specific type of gameplay activity will be reduced. The first 2 events of the new expansion look just as generous in terms of useful resources. Although, to be honest, we were a bit worried that devs might quietly nerf the usefulness of event rewards.
So far, there have been no visible changes to the reward system. However, the percentage of a full collection you can earn is directly tied to the duration of an expansion phase. The current expansion will be shorter than usual, and that mainly affects the number of quests you can complete. Players will definitely earn fewer total resources during Into the Emerald Dream. But those missing resources will almost certainly roll over into future, longer expansions. So, while you'll receive fewer rewards during this phase, your total for the entire year should remain roughly the same. Still, some players might feel the short-term squeeze, but it's nothing too serious.
Guys, I also want to share a fascinating fact. To truly understand how much the progression system has changed since Hearthstone's release, I did a bit of my own research. During the Great Dark Beyond phase, the average daily reward was equivalent to 1.7 current expansion packs for just 20 minutes of daily play. For comparison, in 2014, earning a similar amount of gold would have required roughly 10 hours of play per day, assuming 8-minute games and a 50% win rate. But realistically, that kind of grind was impossible, since there was a hard cap of 100 gold per day from 30 wins. Today, modern players only need to log in and play for an hour once every 3 days to get all the easily obtainable rewards. That means the time to reward ratio has improved by 30 times. And that's no surprise, because back in 2014, there were no sources of rewards besides quests and rewards for victories.
Sure, modern rewards include more than just gold. There are various resources with different levels of usefulness, but we've accounted for that. And while rewards aren't always evenly distributed, the average value is undeniably impressive.
As free-to-play players with 11 years of experience, we're thrilled by how much rewards have improved. But we're also puzzled by Blizzard's motives. Before these changes, at the start of last year, regular players had no real complaints about the reward system. Progression was already generous, flexible, and fair, at least for long-term players. So why change something that was already working? This major increase in reward value makes pre-orders nearly pointless, especially if you're only interested in collecting the useful cards. And since in-game resources are Blizzard's primary monetization tool, it's hard to understand how they plan to profit if players no longer feel pressure to spend money.
It's especially confusing considering how Blizzard is also introducing new monetization methods, while the game's revenue, at least on mobile platforms, is slowly declining. This current approach feels strange, and it makes us wonder if there's a catch. Could the short free patch into the Emerald Dream expansion be a trial run for moving toward 4 major expansions per year? Blizzard has been trying to implement that idea for a long time.
We'd like to believe that the increased flow of rewards is connected to the recently announced pets, a new type of cosmetic item.
It would be awesome if you could unlock pets by completing a full expansion collection. That would preserve the value of pre-orders while giving long-term collectors something special. But we suspect the pet system might instead be tied to a gacha-style mechanic.
Here's another theory from me. What if the game is quietly struggling with player engagement? Sure, there are no obvious signs of a drop in activity. But in the past, Blizzard has responded to declining engagement with major reward increases, just like we're seeing now.
Dear friends, what do you think?
What's the reason behind Blizzard's sudden generosity? And do you agree with the claim that Hearthstone is the most generous live service collectible card game out there?
Let us know your thoughts below and join the polls in your community tab. Remember to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to support our content and stay updated.
Traditionally, we want to express our boundless gratitude to our sponsors.
Dear friends, your help is invaluable. We will be grateful for any support.
Okay, that's all for today. Thank you for spending this time with us. We really hope that we will have the opportunity to get in touch in the next video.
Take care of yourself.
And never give up.
Job's done.